The voices in my head are abusing me. They're torturing me, and I'm having interruption in thought. I'm lapsing. I get like this weird, my central nervous system feels this weird sensation as if there's it's overly stimulated. Um, and my nerves, they just feel off. And I'm stuttering when I talk. I'm not making sense, confused. It's almost like having dyslexia. Like I'm looking at information and it's coming to me backwards. Um, and it's just things aren't adding up the way they're supposed to. And the voices in my head are basically saying, haha, this stupid bitch isn't being sensitive enough to them being sentenced to death. So what they want me to do is play music really loud, avoid working at all cost, and to run around like I'm some kind of a drug addict, um, looking for some kind of remedy to help me escape the voices in my fucking head, mind you. The voices in my head sound like terrorists. They keep saying they're Egyptian Muslim. They want me to post this on social media platforms. Not Muslim, I'm sorry, Egyptian Americans. What did I say? I don't even know. Like I said, they're playing with my fucking head. They they keep saying they're Egyptian Americans. They want to throw the Muslim word around like they don't care that there are innocent Muslims out there, and they're using it as a scapegoat. And all they keep doing is trying to harass me, make me and they're sitting there saying, haha, fuck your family, I don't give a shit about you or your kids. I don't have kids, stupid bitch. You get what I'm saying, you stupid bitch? Well, if I gotta sit here and I can't have kids because I may be sentenced to death and they'll be left to fend for themselves, then that means I'm just going to abuse you and your family, and until basically you guys die, and I'll just, whatever money I make using this telepathy weapon, I'm going to do and live the life that I want to live, and I don't give a shit about you, and basically tough, like, and fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. This is all they say, verbatim, like, well, not verbatim, but for the most part. Fuck you, you're a bitch, you're ugly, you're this, no man wants you, haha, we want your unborn children to die, haha, stupid bitch, haha, we started in your prime. I was 33 when the voices started. I am almost 40. Haha, stupid bitch, right when you thought you were gonna start start really living your life and getting your career together and your family together and finding someone to live your life with, we just sat here and fucked everything up for you. And if you continue to discuss us being in your head, I'll just do it to your fucking daughter. Get the picture, you stupid bitch. Like the things they're saying, and like I keep saying, I'm like, okay, terrorist that has a telepathy weapon, why would they talk? Well, maybe they have other partners in this, and there's really no way to identify who's doing what. But there are, like, let's say we're all little red dots on a map, okay? And the Central Intelligence Agency see it. And anytime someone is being investigated using this telepathy weapon, that person's, the pin on the map that represents that person turns green. So now the Central Intelligence Agencies all know across the board, every single one of them knows, hey, this particular person is being named in an investigation, a primary suspect. We want, and those who are investigating her are from a foreign nation or representing foreign nations, and are being held confidential the until the conclusion of their investigation. And so therefore, there are no identities presented as to who's investigating me. However, there is evidence that I am being investigated. So with that said, I'm like, okay, so basically, in order so that the central intelligence agencies don't collectively come together and decide, hey, you know what, there's a lot of money involved in this. They could be money laundering, they could be doing this, they could be doing that. These terrorists that I hear in my head might be a part of a bigger organization, but each is labeled independently, and they collaborate, but not necessarily, but not to cross paths, I guess, and to remain, and then any money that they make from these so-called investigations is entitled to whoever it was who brought in the criminal or suspect or whatever to that investigation, and or brought whatever it is that requires the conclusion and the disbursement of funds. And so so to be allotted to whoever it is that, initiated the case. And so I keep saying, okay, well, let's say that's the case. And I'm sorry if I threw you off. I'm going to probably say this a million times. I'm like, okay, so let's say, because they're all being held confidential, let's say the central intelligence agencies can come together and say, hey, to each country's government, you know what? We don't really know if we're missing monies, across countries. And to make sure the disbursements are being held to the entitled and not to have a World War III, why don't we just do a full-blown investigation of everyone, including those that are these confidential informants that are saying that they have probable cause to suspect this person is, in fact, a criminal or a part of a bigger, like a ring of terrorists or something like that. And let's make sure that who they identify is who they say they are, and to also make sure, if not, or if so, to make sure that also the people investigating them haven't also, committed crimes using these weapons. So in order to basically avoid all that, they'd sit there and they talk in your head. And that way, so anything once that little green light goes off, and let's say they were to click that button, right? And it shows me it can basically show all my brain activities, show my whereabouts, track and trace me. It can see through my eyes. It can hear what I'm hearing. And therefore, they can kind of get an idea of what's going on with me in the investigation. However, here's the discrepancy. If in fact I hear voices in my head, and there are records, and there are central intelligence agencies that have top places of security where these records are held confidential, and they're being produced in real time, and someone's basically monitoring them, how can they distinguish if in fact the voices I hear in my head are in my head only, or if they're outside? So the only way to do so would be to place my phone down, record what's going on outside around me, and then to place it on a social media platform where it's viewed by several others. And in fact, there's obvious evidence that the only thing that you hear are birds outside of my door, so that they can come to the conclusion that the voices I hear are legitly in my head. So that's that. So the voices in my head, like I keep saying, don't want me working. They don't want me attending to my children. They don't want me in church. They don't want me at the gym. They don't want me anywhere where there are cameras. They don't want me. I mean, everything I do, it's like, and they made my hair fall out. The more confident I felt, like they would basically wait for me to get dressed up for an event. And then I would, I would get dressed up or dolled up. And it's like, okay, well, this flatters her face. Her hair like this flatters her face. Let's make this part of her hair fall out. Let's make this, until all my hair fell out. And literally, I mean, it is so choppy, and areas where my hair fell out, see this? Okay. Are now growing back in, and then around it, the hair is falling out. My hair is thinned tremendously to say, haha, you stupid you stupid piece of shit. Now you're no longer gorgeous, and your hair looks raggedy. You look like a drug addict. Basically, no, you're not going to find any job opportunities. Your earning potential just dropped, and your potential to find a mate has also dropped, just in case, I were to find a man that would want to support me or provide me the lifestyle to, and then, whatever, right? Whatever. I just find a man and I'm living a healthy life. Anything that shows a healthy life, they don't want me to engage in. Anything that makes me interesting, anything that gives it has, I can share an experience, anything that has, I can share my experience about, they don't want me to have. They just want to shove drugs down my throat. I've never done drugs, never will do drugs. You can drug test me anytime. And I don't drink, I don't smoke. I mean, I think in my irresponsible, my life, I've been irresponsible about a handful of times, but in the company of, and I wouldn't call it irresponsible. I mean, I don't know, to everyone that's defined differently, but it was in the company of people that I love and trust and grew up with, or my immediate family, where I've had a little more to drink than what I am able to sustain, and in which case I can go take my butt right to bed. Aside from that, I have never been publicly drunk. I don't actually enjoy drinking. It was just the hype, or, I went to go see old friends, and one of which the one throwing the party was a good friend of mine. I mean, we're basically sisters, and she was doing a housewarming, and then I happened to see old friends, and it's like, oh, hey, why don't you enjoy a shot with me, haha, and a few laughs, and that is to the extent of my drinking. I mean, and that for me was more than what I would typically. I can order one drink and babysit it all night, and I guarantee you I wouldn't even finish half of it by the end of the night. So no drinking, no smoking, no drugs, and that's really all. That's been my life. That's how I liked it. I like to work out. I like the outdoors. I love music. I love art. I love anything that just stimulates your mind, and anytime I attempt to do anything of that sort, the voices will try to sabotage me. So now I'm attending to my car breaking down, or things that, aren't so fun to discuss with someone. So it's like, so that when if I were to go discuss something with them, it's like, oh, your life's basically a drag. And that's all the voices want me to attend to. I mean, literally, problem after problem. They keep saying they're terrorists. They keep saying they're Egyptian Americans. They keep saying they've committed genocide. They keep telling me to shut the fuck up. Keep telling me they're going to do this to my kids. They're talking. So it's like they're a part of an organization. There are people governing over these records. There are central intelligence agencies, and the voices in my head are just manipulative trash that are coming up with clever ways or trying to come up with clever ways to manipulate the records. And where was I going with this? I'm sorry, they're still playing with my head. So with that said, and then to say, and I was going to go further to say, well, let's assume that that's the case. Then what if in fact the voices in my head were to have, I don't know, first of all, I don't know any Egyptian American and Muslims in particular. I don't know any, so the terrorists talking in my head keep saying they're Muslim. I don't know any, so I obviously don't owe anybody money. And I don't owe anyone money. And they're talking in my head saying that, what was I saying? And so I said, well, what do I gain out of it if you're going to keep torturing me? And she goes, I'm not going to do this to your daughter. And I said, well, it's so discreet. How would anybody know if you were doing this to my daughter? And so I sat there to think, well, if she's talking, right? And there is no way of the general public in regards to the general public and institutions detecting that this is going on, other than the records that are held confidential and and of course there are regulations and among the governments and the central intelligence agencies there are laws that govern over this as to why, how to properly utilize these technologies and all of that. Sorry, where was I going with this? Utilize it and the reasons as to why, and how to address coming forward with them, and what is, when's the best time and what's the best way and how. And so with that said, it's obvious that these weapons being held in the public's if they were in fact made public, then, and there are no ways to treat the injuries that they can cause, or there's no way to trace them completely, then why would then it wouldn't be safe. It would be the end of our species. The voices, again, they're laughing and they're talking in my head. It's freaking disgusting. So with that said, there are rules as to how and when and why it would be acceptable to come out with this technology and how to slowly present it to the public while coming up with treatment. So let's say it's radiation exposure. What levels of radiation cause cancer? What, not to say that they're administering it, but it's science. It's inevitable, right? This is here. And assuming someone intelligent but understands that he's outnumbered, has possession of such a weapon, and can just sit here and use it to his benefit secretly, then sorry, they're playing with my head again. Then of course it's necessary to start to look for treatments and make sure that we have all the tools and technology and medicine to take care of what it may cause, and how to trace it, and how to block it, and how to track it, and how to, all of the things pertaining to it. And so they come out with components of it slowly as they address certain aspects of the technologies. And no. And anyways, to go further, I keep saying, okay, well, if that's the case, then these psychopaths talking in my head are trying to take advantage of the fact that there are these rules regulating that these technologies stay confidential until the treatment comes out, and they're using them inappropriately and to launder money and to frame people to continue to use them because they're not of the intellect that knows how to detect, knows how to detect the signal, how to obviously hack into someone's head, how to block it. So if they don't have that type of an intellect, then why in God's name would I submit to not mentioning them being in my head? That would actually put me and my daughter at more of a risk of being in danger, because they're always going to be at, not to say always, but they may what I'm saying is, if in fact they don't know how, then they'll continue to commit crimes to come up with reasons or probable cause to utilize this weapon, and in which case people are clearly in danger. And sorry, it's hard to get my thoughts across. I'm clearly stuttering because someone is behind a computer sitting in their house and they're just fucking pressing on a button that actually stops the processes in my mind that causes me a stroke, so that I have an interruption in my speech, so I sound like I don't know how to articulate myself, or that and just so on and so forth. And like I said, same distortion of thought when I was working. So things do take me a little longer to try and explain or to do, but nonetheless, I'm just learning how to take my time to do them under the circumstances. So that way, just what else would I do? How else can I? There are no other, there's nothing else I can do. I just have to take my time, review everything over and over again until things click and it's obvious, now I'm making sense. So, now I went off on a tangent, but yeah, so back to these weapons, or these technologies, surveillance technologies that make you look schizophrenic. The voices in my head are legitimately trying to find ways to torture me to death and then frame me and defame me as if I'm being negligent and an unfit mother. It's insane. The voices in my head. Imagine you're genuinely, like, you're a good person. You come from a great family, and not to say that good people can't come from, families that aren't ideal. However, I have both. Like, I'm a great person, and I come from a great family, and my standards have been set. Like, I have great standards, great morals. My kids come first. My family comes first. God, work, to want to learn, to achieve, to progress, goals, to experience, to live, to not to do drugs and to destroy myself. That isn't what I was brought up as a way of entertainment, through drugs and alcohol, like a way to ease my pain. I wasn't brought up that way, and I am not like that. So imagine being like trying so hard to strive while someone's literally retarding you intentionally, and knowing that they're causing you and your family damage so that they can protect their financial their wealth, okay, that they've made, or their wealth that they've made laundering and using this weapon, and at the same time to go start a family. So to fuck off your family and then take the money they basically made abusing you and framing you and defaming you, and then to turn around and take that money and spend it on their kids, and then to go out in public and act as though they are the ideal family, they are the ideal parent, and really be that two-faced and psychotic. What I'm hearing in my head are terrorists, and it is a fact. It is a fact. I mean, they can't shove drugs down my throat because there are Central Intelligence agents of very high IQs sitting there watching my brain activity, so they know damn well when it's me deciding to pick up this pen, for example, or when I've been basically instructed or controlled to do so using that mind control telepathy technology that these terrorists are using. And it's not your regular weapon. It's you. To use it, you're sitting behind a computer. So these people look like they're working from home. Yeah, this is just, it's insane. And there's no way the general public hasn't discovered it yet. And so I'm basically waiting on Central Intelligence agents to get hold of these videos that I keep putting out on YouTube, which they obviously see me doing, but enough reason to say, okay, well, our confidential informants came across Renee's videos. She's saying things that sound very skeptical, and she is in fact being investigated. So therefore we believe that some of these confidential informants, okay, actual terrorists, are misusing this technologies, and we want to go ahead and investigate them. So I'm putting this out there for them to have enough reason to do so. And based on the way I stutter, pictures of me before and after, and they've seen it all. So, and then the doctor records, if they were to take it to a world court or the World Health Organization and say, you know what, here are photos of her, here's what she's saying, we want to subpoena her health records. She isn't being investigated, according to this government agency, who is the responsible party for permitting these confidential informants, and yada, yada, yada. So we want to investigate everything, all their monies, audit their files. We want to see what Renee's medical records look like. So I go and I seek medical attention constantly. I've gotten 2 biopsies done for my hair loss, both of which came back with telogen effluvium. I go do blood work on a regular basis. I mean, x-rays, CT scans, MRIs, you name it, I've done it. I've done it all. And the voices in my head, not to mention, they're aligned with what's going on with me. So if I feel swelling in my head, I'll hear something like, it almost sounds like,